Alrighty, we're going to mark out this box. We've written our names on the outside of the pieces, and it's going to be a box like this. So the first thing we do on all boxes is we need to mark the width of the timber on the end of every piece. So that's actually 9 millimeters is how wide this is. And instead of measuring it, what we can do is just put our piece of timber on the end of this other piece and just trace the line across there, and the same on the other end. Put our piece of, or just one of the other sides, like pieces of timber there. Make sure the outside edges here are flush where my fingers are down there. So it's nice and neat, and just trace the line across. Now we would do that on every piece that we've got, and I've already done that. So we just, on the next piece, line it up there and just make sure that it's nice and flush on the ends. Draw the line, and the same on the other end. Just line it up like this. Make sure it's nice and flush, and scribe the line across. Now I've done that on all of them. I've actually marked out all the pieces, but just so you can understand, we just do that on both ends of every piece. Then we put them back in order as according to the plan. So the front, the right, the back, and the left. So now what I've done is I've designed this jig here, and I've printed it with the 3D printer. And it's designed because we've got quite a lot of joints going up the side here, and there's a lot of marking out to do. So instead of that, I've printed this so we can just basically trace on each of these steps up the side to mark out where the joints go. Now it's not exactly straightforward because the design is, in order to try and make it versatile that you can have multiple size boxes using the spreadsheet that we first started with, I've had to design it fairly carefully. And also we've got this slider in the front here, which we've got to make sure that that's a little bit different than all the rest. Like the right, the back, and the left, all these three pieces, the steps are essentially the same. But the front one is different because we've got to cut off the front slider. Okay, so that little bit of the front of the box is going to be removed. And so we need to have a slightly different measurement for that. So it's not exactly straightforward, and you have to really pay attention to this next step. Before I mention the next step though, these black lines, that's the saw marks. So this one that goes all the way across to the middle there, that's basically to cut the lid off. So that top portion is the lid, and then the bottom is the box. And so because we're taking 3 mils out for the front slider, we've got to take 3 mils out at the bottom of these other pieces so that the box is the same. It's an equal height all the way around. So here is what you've got to do. For the front piece, the front side of the box, we measure up until we get to that black line on both sides using the jig. So we put the step of the jig on the bottom of the timber, and we step up 1, 2, 3, 4 lines and mark 4 of them out. So you basically just line it up on the jig like this, and as you can see, I've already marked mine, but you just trace it 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. And you'll notice that when we get to the 4th step, there's also this little groove in the jig here. Now you don't have to draw this, it's not like it needs to be there, but that's a little reminder of where that black line is. Okay, and so it's actually the little groove in the jig means if you want to just remind yourself that's basically where the saw cut's going to go. Later on we will measure that using the table saw. It's going to be 24 millimeters high, but for the moment if you want to just draw that you can. So that's the first step, is measure up to the black line on the front piece only. Now for every other piece, including the rest of the front, we go down from the top, down from the top. On the right-hand piece, we go down from the top right to the bottom, right to the bottom. And so we always go down from the top on all the other pieces. So basically we turn this jig upside down so that the little shoulder that is there goes on the top, and we work our way down, 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 until we are almost at the point. You can see on this one, the bottom one of those lines was my 4th line, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I keep going down here, the last line is very, very close to that piece. You actually don't need to draw it. Okay, so on the other side, I've shown that. I've gone down, 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 down until I'm almost at that last line. And when it's only a couple mils away from there, don't draw the last line. Otherwise, you'll end up with 2 lines there and it'll be confusing as to which one's which. So I've scribbled that last one that I drew out. And that's the front piece. So the front one is the tricky one. up from the bottom for the bottom 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, and same on the other end, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go down from the top, down from the top. And so for all these other pieces, we go down from the top all the way to the bottom, and you should find that the very last one is around about 3 mils up from the bottom of the piece. And so as per the drawing, I showed that before, there's that black line at the bottom of these pieces, that's going to get sawn off. And so what I actually did was just traced across the whole bottom of that piece and drew that black line across the bottom there, because that's going to get sawn off later on. Okay, so I do the same on the back. I haven't actually traced that last line across there. I'll just show you how I did that. Just basically slid it all the way across. Oops, that was a bit rough. You don't need to do this. It's only if you think you're going to get confused, because later on the table saw is going to saw off all that stuff off the bottom anyway. So that's all my pieces. Whoops, marked all the way down there. So I'll put them back in order: front, right, back, and left, according to my plan. And now the last step is to put a cross into any of these areas where it's going to get cut out. So if I start with this top piece, the right here, for example, the top square on both sides is cut out. And so I'll go to the right piece and I'll put an X up in there to remind myself that I've got to cut it out. Then I skip one, cut the next one. Skip one, cut the next one. Skip one, because there's a piece of wood there, and then all of the rest are actually cut out right to the bottom. So you may have noticed that all the way down to there, and the same on the other end of the left piece. And that's because we are going to use, where is it? The slider piece. We have to allow a space for that slider to actually fit inside that little gap there. Okay, so we're going to cut all of those pieces out. So basically you just follow the plan, and any time where there is a gap, a white bit on the plan, basically you put an X on here. Okay, so then you just compare it with your plan. So we're looking at the right piece there, and so I've put X's all the way down here in the right spot. So the top one, then the next one stays, then we cut out, then the next one stays, and we work our way down. Okay, so that's basically all the marking out. So once you have finished that, then our next step is going to be to cut out the pieces. So I'm going to finish my marking out, and then I'll show you how to cut them out.